learn or re-remember something. I'll be saying things that you may already likely know. My guess is if you attending this webinar, you've probably heard something like this before, but encouraging you to hear it in a way that really empowers you to take action. I'm really big on like if you spend your whole time with me, an hour, right? That's a long time. Take something today that you're going to put into action, right? Make this worth your time. All right, that being said, we're going to dive on in. So, we're going to be talking about women's health today. I'm going to be going over ways to live long and live well. So, if you would like to live not only longer, but live well, go ahead and drop yes in the chat. Maybe give me some hands up emojis. Because I think that's where we are in this day and age is that we're recognizing that we do have an ability to live longer. Maybe we've had loved ones who've lived a long time. And now we're at this crossroads where we're learning that we can also, there's a lot we can do so that we live well. And I think that that is an amazing thing. I know that's what really inspires me to do the work that I do, is because I want to help people live not only longer, but live well. In my background, I worked in ICU and we would help people live, but we would also not necessarily be able in that space to really help them with quality of life. So if you're somebody who feels like quality of life is important, you might just like nod to yourself and really soak that in. So, longevity is really the ability not just to live long and live well, but it's like our cognitive function, to be strong, to have energy, to be able to be mobile, to get down off the ground, onto the ground and get back up again. And I don't know about y'all, but we have to stay active. You probably have noticed this in your life that if you don't stay active very quickly, it gets harder and harder to move. And I'll give you a prime example of this in my life. My dog likes to put her little ball underneath the TV stand. I don't know if she likes to, but it goes under there. And I find myself when it's early in the morning, we have these really hard travertine floors. There's an inner voice that says, "Oh no, you don't want to get down on all fours and have to get that ball." And I know good and damn well, if I listen to that voice over and over and over again, it's going to get stronger, number one. Number two, eventually I'm not going to be getting down on the ground and getting back up. And before I know it, I won't be able to find myself getting up off the ground. So the cool thing is that this also works in reverse with anything that I share today, whether it is how you treat yourself, how you engage with yourself, how you engage with life, with others, how you eat, how you take care of yourself, how you move your body. While maybe we have some strong neural pathways that are ineffective, we can always build strong neural pathways that are effective and in alignment with our health, which I think is so important and so cool. And I like to look for people who inspire me, who are older than me, more fit than me, more energized than me, because it's really just validating that that's possible. So I want you to think about who inspires you. I have some friends. One of my friends, Leticia, inspires me. She's in her mid 60s and she just runs circles around people and has so much energy. She's so passionate. She's so full of life. She'll go on these really long bike rides. She goes and plays with her grandkids. I love it. And then there's also this YouTube channel that I watch, and she interviews people. And on there, she interviewed a lady who at 50 started running, and she's 80, maybe even a little older than 80, and she's running ultra endurance races. She does the where you bike, what's that called, you guys? When you bike, you swim and you run. Like she's running a marathon. She's running 26.2 miles. I think she's swimming 2 miles and then biking like 100 and some. And this woman's 80 years old. And she was asked in this interview, like, how much longer do you plan to do this? And she's like, I plan to do this as long as I can. So I think we're getting out of the ages where we're like, oh, I'm just getting older. I can't live my life anymore. And we're seeing what's possible. And now with this emerging studies of functional medicine, looking at the root cause of things, the Iron Man, yes, yes, Jen. And longevity medicine, we now know that there's some key things that we can do to live longer and live well. So I want to just let everybody get a little more grounded, a little more connected. If you're in a place where you can close your eyes, I'm going to invite you to do that. And if you're not comfortable closing your eyes, You can keep them open, but let's just go ahead, like drop into our body because this webinar is not just about receiving information in your mind. Like, I really want you to take what you hear today and feel it in your body. And like I said, bring it into your life because that's what this is really all about. We have maybe this one precious day, right? It's our first day together and it's our last day together. And so let's make the best of it. All right. Go ahead, let your eyes close down. And start to settle into your body. Feel your feet on the ground and feel that support underneath your body. Maybe for the first time today, you just are going to acknowledge that you are truly supported, that it is not all just up to you to figure out. And with that, I'm going to invite you to feel relieved by that. Like you can just exhale a little bit more fully, knowing that you are supported and you are guided. And we're going to start to tune your awareness. We're going to start to tune your energy into that frequency. And so I want you to imagine that there is a antenna that's running really high up on your roof, up into the sky, into the clouds, way up into the earth. And you're starting to send out a signal. You're sending out a signal for what it is that you desire, whether that is to have more energy, whether that is not to worry so much and have more peace of mind. Maybe there's something going on in a relationship or your health, and you want to have some sense of safety with that connection and renewal, a deepening of your faith. So you just knowing that this antenna is sending out that signal for what you're calling into your life. And I'll invite you to sit up a little bit taller and take a nice deep inhale and exhale, let the breath go. Two more deep breaths this way. Nice deep inhale. Slow, steady exhale. And as you do, starting to bring awareness to the solar plexus, that place above the belly button, your power center. And one more deep breath in. And remembering how strong you are, how resilient you are. Really, you've overcome a lot of really hard things. You've probably been a lot of versions of yourself in this lifetime. You've overcome a lot. You've created a lot. Even if this is one of those days where you're like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know." I'm here to remind you that yes, indeed, you are a powerful creator. You've created so many amazing things, beautiful things, lots of laughs, lots of tears, lots of adventures, lots of hard things that you got over. And so, as you remember what you're really on your path right now, just remember that you do have so many years of wisdom, so many years of experience, a lot of years of practice. And that there have been times in your life where you didn't know how you were going to get through something, but you got through it. And that setting this intention today, really connecting to your desires, how you want to feel, how you want to look, the way you want to navigate this one precious life. And maybe the things that you're no longer tolerating, no longer, you're just letting it go. Just reminding yourself that that's possible for you. And if there's anything that you need to hear, any words of wisdom, any acknowledgement, I want you to go ahead and acknowledge yourself right now. It's nice to have other people do it, but we can also acknowledge our own self. And a lot of times it starts with us. The more we're in that space of empowerment, of self-consideration, of a self-acknowledgement, the more we even allow others to be there and support us and give to us as well. So coming back to feeling the feet on the ground, support underneath your body. And if your eyes are closed, you can go ahead and open up your eyes. If you want to go ahead, put in the chat, what is it that you are calling into your life? What is it that you desire right now? I know for me, something that I desire is to find peace in my days, to focus on what's working. And there's a practice I do with clients, it's called intentional thought work. And it's really focusing our awareness and asking powerful questions for what it is that we want to create. And it works so well. I can tell you this is like turned around so many things in my life. It's a really powerful tool. And something else I'd love to hear from y'all that I'm calling in is like a month ago, I was feeling so inflamed, and I can say like the things I've been doing feel like they're helping. So just continuing to like reduce inflammation in my body, not the sexiest thing, but to not feel achy and stuff. I'm digging it. I'm loving it. So I'm gonna go with it and more fun adventures with my husband. And right now, I'm also calling in. I hired a couple nurses, and so expanding more on the IV business. So, yeah, write it out. It's powerful. Put it in the chat what it is that you're calling into your life, what it is that you desire. And I want you to also think like, what is your why for doing these things that are going to support your health? Like, we automatically probably say to be healthy, to live a long time. But I want you, again, if you already know your why, I want you to even turn the volume up even more on your why. I want you to, if you don't know what your deep why is, I want you to think about it right now. I want you to connect to it. Like I know for me, part of my why is like to walk the talk. You know what I do with clients. For example, I like to sleep in, and I have a client who I know is a couple clients right now who are struggling with some of their health habits and they're making progress. And it made me think about, you know what? Like, this is how hard it is for them right now to exercise. As much as I want to hit that snooze button, like, I know we can use our brain as a superpower to do the things that we don't want to do. And it doesn't happen by saying, oh my God, I don't want to get up. Why do I have to get up early? It comes with building up that desire, right? Connecting with why, saying, like, how good am I going to feel when I do the thing, right? Maybe not initially, maybe afterwards. So, you may, as we age, there's changes that happen in our bodies, which we're all aware of. And one of the biggest things is that our muscle mass starts to decrease. So it's a big deal. It's not just, oh yeah, our muscle decreases, no big deal. Like our muscle is such an important part of our longevity and our quality of life. So aside from building up your desire, connecting with yourself, and remembering how powerful you are, I also hope that today you get this like you never got it before, how important muscle is. Muscle preservation through nutrition, through exercise, strength training, and through just getting rest, recovery, that kind of stuff. So important. And it is possible to build muscle at any age. I don't know if y'all see the Instagrams, videos of women in their 70s and 80s who are like so strong doing pull-ups. It's possible, right? If you have really bad shoulders, maybe pull-ups not it, but we can squat, we can do things, right? There's things we can do at any age, which is so cool, right? And always be safe. Always be safe. So muscle, it helps regulate our blood sugar, which I'm going to get into just how important it is that we pay attention to blood sugar regulation as part of women's health. It helps us burn energy efficiently. It helps us stay strong, helps us with our balance. I know when I was working in the hospital, if somebody came in with a hip fracture, it was like a lot of times not a good outcome within the next few years. So we want to really stay strong for our sense of balance. Working on our feet is also really important. So making sure you have good proprioception, you're exercising your feet, you're stretching your feet, you're doing fascia work on your feet. That really plays also into our balance. If you, I always like, I want to shout out to my girl Lindsay, who's on here from Improved Motions. If you work with the physical therapist for an injury, or maybe you have had a fall, or you're just noticing like, oh, I've had this chronic pain, I highly recommend working with a functional physical therapist, since we're talking about balance here, because they're going to look at you as a whole person and be able to say, like, oh, okay, your hip pain is actually coming because your toe on the opposite side has no range of motion. Like that's part of it, right? Like who would have thought? Who would have thought? But as we know, we're all connected. Everything is connected in life. They prove it through the quantum field, right? Science that everything is connected. So everything's definitely connected in our body. So, back to muscle. So, it protects our bones. It helps us just keep our independence, right? I think that's something that we all want to keep our independence as long as we can. So, it's also supports us in keeping our metabolism up, right? We know that muscle burns more calories than fat pound per pound. So it also helps, and it also helps with so many other things on a biochemical level that are really, really important to our overall health, our overall quality of life. There are some hormonal changes that happen, and we can't ignore that. But I really want to encourage everybody listening, if you are at any point where you would say, oh, perimenopause is around the corner, I'm in perimenopause, or I already have been there, done that, I'm on the other side of it, that this really is the best era of our life. Like, I believe it. Like, yes, things will change. There's inevitable things that come with aging. And as women go through these hormonal changes, we tolerate less bullshit, right? Things that maybe we just have been, yes, 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 ma'am, yes, 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 sir, but wasn't really truly authentic and in the highest good for ourselves and even the people involved. We start to recognize those things. We start to recognize those patterns that maybe we could get away with when we were younger. And then we get to a point where it's like, okay, I can't eat 1,000 calories before bed and every night anymore and still feel good and not have my sleep affected, not have my blood work putting me at risk for early heart disease, waking up with a stomach ache, putting on weight, or maybe like I can't keep, like we just realize we don't have the tolerance to do some of those things that weren't supporting our highest good, right? They're no longer supporting our highest good. We also get really connected to what it is that we do desire. Like this period of our life moving forward is a time of clarity, it's a time of empowerment, it's a time of service. And so I really believe that while, yeah, there are changes that happen in a woman's body, that it doesn't have to be this absolutely awful experience, that even through the discomfort of the things that can come with perimenopause, that we have access to greater wisdom, like there are brain changes that happen. And so even in the discomfort that can come, like a newfound way of navigating it and taking care of ourselves and taking care of the mission that we are on in life. So changes that do happen as our hormones start to change, estrogen drops. And we're not going to get too much into sex hormones today, but I do want to highlight it because this is a women's health webinar. So as I go through all of this stuff, I want you to take note, like, okay, you'll see a lot of overlap too, like blood sugar dysglycemia, dysregulation has a lot of overlap with inflammation, has a lot of overlap with some thyroid things, that kind of thing. So it is important to a lot of what like the lifestyle piece is going to it spreads for everything. It's going to help all of these areas, but then when working with a practitioner, it's really important to work with somebody who has a good functional understanding, so knows where to start, right? Knows where to start. What are we going to address first? Whether it's sex hormones, whether you're anemic, whether you have a chronic infection, whether you're like super inflamed and you need a liver detox, somebody who knows where to start to support you, right? Or maybe your blood sugar is all over the place and you're dealing with metabolic syndrome. You have a lot of brain fog, inflammation, difficulty losing weight, low energy, those kinds of things. And then maybe you start with the blood sugar. So when estrogen's low or getting lower, you'll notice hot flashes, night sweats, sleep disturbances. And that can cause from other things too. We'll get into moods, anxiety. There might be vaginal dryness, brain fog. The skin can change, abdominal fat, more abdominal fat. The bone density goes down again, why it's so important to strength train. And we get at a higher risk, unfortunately, of cardiovascular disease as the estrogen drops. So another reason why the lifestyle piece is so important. And then if you're in that range, talking to somebody who specializes in bioidentical hormone replacement can be a good thing. But with that, I will say, you want to make sure you have the building blocks in place to build these hormones. So sometimes people might be really deficient in vitamin D and let's say zinc. You want to address that because it's going to be important in helping you with estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. So progesterone is often one that's you're going to have a decline in first during perimenopause. And how's that show up when progesterone starts dropping? Mood and like mood irritability, like maybe everybody's getting on your nerves. This is also a conversation if you are in that period of your life to have this conversation with your family, with your kids, with your significant other, because a lot of divorce, a lot of breakdowns can happen during this period of women's life. And I think we're not living in isolation, right? We're interconnected beings. And so getting our family on board that, hey, if I snap your head off, don't take it personally. I love you. I'm just like going through this. Please work with me. Please support me. This is how you can support me. We need more oxytocin hits all day long, hugs, give compliments, listen to music you like, get outside, smell the roses, all these kinds of things, snuggle your dog, whatever it is, right? We need more of that as we transition through this period of our life. We need more of that oxytocin hit. It's a short-lived neurotransmitter experience, so we need a lot of that. So get our family on board, right? Again, let's this be the most empowering part of your life. Let's ask for what it is that we want. I don't know how many times I've thought that I was asking for what I wanted. And then I realized, oh no, I was like being super vague. I was not actually doing that. So, with low progesterone, might also notice heavier periods. Testosterone, women actually need testosterone as well, just much less than men, but it can come with reduction in muscle tone, low energy, low libido, slow recovery. I had a client that I worked with for years. She's one of my very first personal training clients, and she works out hard. This woman is so awesome, in great shape, but she was like feeling like she just got ran over after every workout. Come to find out, ran her testosterone, got it back. It was essentially zero. She started supplementing it a little bit, so much more energy, great results again, building muscle again. Like it was a huge difference for her. So it's not always that simple. I want to preface that, but all of these parts are important, right? Because she was checking those lifestyle boxes. She was eating well, she was prioritizing sleep, she was hitting the gym hard, she was taking time out for herself, but still feeling bad. And so when these symptoms that we have, I want to encourage you, pay attention to them. We don't have to be hypochondriacs about it, but listen to them in a way that like, okay, this is actually here giving me some information. What is, and it's up to us to start to find providers if we don't know ourselves. But also, I want to encourage you to trust yourself, right? We go to healers, we go to doctors, and want them to have all of the answers. And while this is their area of expertise, it's really important that you work with somebody who it's a cohesive relationship and where you can also intuitively discern what it is that's going on with you, right? With the guidance and support of somebody else. I want to encourage you to like start to continue to build that trust in yourself. But the symptoms, right? I'll give you a prime example. Like for me, when I end up with GI symptoms, for me, it's pay attention. Am I future tripping a lot? Am I getting ahead of myself? Am I working too much? Am I feeling anxious? Am I worrying more? Like, oh, it's an opportunity to breathe, to slow down, to trust that I'm guided and supported. And it happens quick in my body. I know that. So that symptom's actually, now that I know, it's such a gift. So didn't always feel like that. So listen to those symptoms. Very, very important. Our growth hormone as we get all older also tanks. So there's some peptides. I'm going to talk about peptides. I'm going to sprinkle them in through here. And you'll have the opportunity, let me put that link in here now in case anybody has to hop off. You'll have the opportunity to book a call with me and talk about peptides specifically. I'm going to go over, like I said, I have so much to share with y'all today. But there are peptides that can help with your body's natural ability to create growth hormone, which drops as we get older. And so with that, you might be noticing you're not sleeping as well, not recovering from workouts, a low libido, growth hormone can help with that, can help with abdominal fat as well. So some of the peptides, and with peptides, I'm going to encourage you work with a medical provider like myself or somebody else if you have a trusted person. I work with a doctor. I also work with compounding pharmacies. One of my go-to pharmacies only use green listed products from their sources, and they're a boutique batch compounding pharmacy, so they can do more testing on their peptides on their medication. So make sure, because nowadays you'll find peptides, which are short chain amino acids, which were made up of amino acids, building blocks of protein that act as messengers in the body. So now we know that there's specific chains of amino acids that unlock these healing abilities in the body. You're probably most familiar with GLP-1, but other ones for growth hormone, for example, is going to be tesamorelin, ipamorelin, CJC 1295, these names, right? And Sermorelin. I have quite a few ladies on Sermorelin, and most of them absolutely love it. Their sleep is better than it's been in years. Even people who like don't sleep well at all and never have, like they start to get deeper sleep, better recovery, be able to build muscle again. And of course, everybody's different. You have to go through medical screening and all that for that, but can also help with skin after like 6 to 8 weeks. A lot of women say like their libido's better. So peptides can be a great thing that you don't have to stay on indefinitely, and can be a great piece of the puzzle when it comes to your wellness journey. As we age, also women's DHEA can decline, and DHEA is produced in the adrenal glands and also building precursor for estrogen and testosterone. So that can be a lab that not all providers are going to necessarily order for you. It would be a good one to check if you're thinking about hormone replacement therapy, or if you're like, what the heck is going on with me? Like, it can be good to know what these levels are. You can also be totally fine in progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, and DHEA normal and still be in perimenopause. So I would encourage you, if you're having all the symptoms of perimenopause and the provider's like, no, there's no way, you could still be in perimenopause. So just unfortunately, not everybody's up to date with what perimenopause is, but it could also be other things. And so that's why it's so important to, no matter what supplements you take, peptides you take, or if you're taking bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, whatever symptoms you have, we have to dial in the essentials. There's no way around it. Absolutely no way around it. Nutrition is so important. It's important to have some fasting in there, build up on the fasting. You're not just going to probably start with a 24-hour fast, but fasting, that metabolic flexibility, super duper important. Also, removing toxic load. Um, Taking care of your gut health, so important. Moving your body. We're designed to move, making sure you're staying strong, strength training. We need our sleep, we need our recovery, having those things that bring us joy. If you do have, which a lot of us, I think almost everybody does, has a trauma history, perimenopause too, women's health. We get to a point where like all of those traumas in life accumulate, and if we haven't had a way to address them, they will catch up to us mentally, emotionally, and can manifest in physical symptoms. So that's why holistic nurse coaches, we're looking at your mental health, emotional health, spiritual life, your job, your work, your relationships, your physical health, if I didn't say that one, energetics. All of that is so important because it all does play a role. Like we know for a fact that like trauma shows up in the body, right? But now we know also through trauma recovery, there's ways to process it. So that's another thing just to keep in mind. Cortisol is another thing that we want to be aware of. You can do the saliva test. I think it's called a ASI. But when it's dysregulated, when it's running high, that can also cause abdominal fat, insulin resistance, cravings. So when you think, like, am I having these things? Am I sleeping like crap? Am I moody? Am I tired in the afternoon? And insulin, which this is one that I am huge on, because when our blood sugar is dysregulated for 20 years, we could be potentially a metabolic what I don't want to say disease, but like metabolic irregularity operating underneath the surface. and it's not showing up on our blood work that our doctor's ordering. Your fasting glucose might be okay, and your A1C might even be decent, right? Might be like, oh, you're not pre-diabetic yet. But if you were to do an oral glucose tolerance test, you might be having high spikes of insulin to help bring your glucose down, which is really something that we want to know because now we know that insulin resistance wreaks havoc on our organs, wreaks havoc on our vessels, our mood, our energy, our sleep, our body composition, everything, right? And so again, let's go back to the why. Like, why do we want to live well? Why do we want to live for a long time? And how resilient we are to make changes. I was just telling somebody today when I got into this work 13 years ago and where I was like, I'm sold on this. And I was in a like life coaching, we'll call it a seminar or training. And I were people who would come in. I remember this kid, he was like 17. I think I was like, how old was I? 25, 26, somewhere around there. And he was suicidal. He was suicidal and he talked about it a little bit. And I loved it because in this room we had people from all walks of life, doctors, attorneys, real estate, stay-at-home moms, 17-year-olds. We had college students, me as a nurse, like there were all kinds of people, therapists. So it was cool to see, oh, everybody struggles. Sounds like duh, probably now, this day and age, we know. We're a lot more up on mental health, but 13 years ago in my world, I didn't know everybody was having like all these internal crises. And another woman came in. She was a flight attendant. She hadn't been able to work for like 3 months. She had a special chair because she hurt her back. She had to sit in. Everyone else, the normal chairs provided. And by the end of this, the kid was like not suicidal at all anymore. He was like really connected to his purpose in life. This woman was sitting in the regular chair. She came in, I'll never forget, with like knee-high boots with like heels like this. She was dancing, she was moving. And so for me, I was like, what the heck? Like, there is something to this. Like, we have the ability to heal, to grow, to like overcome so many things. And so, whatever it is that you're wanting to focus on, expand on right now, like I want you to take that and go with it because it's possible, right? Especially when we believe it, when we keep showing up, when we build up that desire, when we put the systems in place, the support systems there. Doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, but it's also not easy to stay in our current situation if we're really suffering, right? And some suffering is inevitable in this human experience, but there's a lot of times some things we can do to change our situations. I highly believe that. Thyroid, we can't talk about women's health. We can't talk about metabolic health without talking about thyroid. And I want you to look back at your thyroid labs and see how many your doctor ordered or your provider ordered. Some of them are only checking a TSH and some of them are only checking a T4. Gives some information, but it does not give the whole picture. There's some labs that you want to make sure there's seven. So TSH, free T4, free T3, reverse T3, TPO antibodies, the thyroglobulin antibodies and ferritin also should be checked when they check your thyroid, and that could do a whole thing on anemia because sometimes your whole anemia panel is not completely there. I have recently been like I can order lab work now, so if somebody's looking for a more functional approach to your blood work, that's something I can help you with and educate you on. And I also have a doctor that I work with, so I consult with a functional medicine doctor to go over your blood work as well. So just side note, if you want help with that, feel free to ask me. But thyroid's super important. It regulates our metabolism, it regulates our energy production. Some signs that your thyroid could be off is body temperature, whether you're running hot all the time or cold all the time. Heart rate can be affected by thyroid, digestion, if you're dealing with constipation a lot, mood. See, I told you there's a lot of overlap here. Hair, skin, and nails getting really brittle, like super, super low, exhausted can also be a sign of low thyroid. And then there's also your thyroid can be high as well. So when our thyroid levels are off, it affects how many calories we're burning. It affects how we use energy in the body. It affects our energy production. So I know it can be really frustrating, and I like want to apologize on behalf of the medical community that, we go to providers to help us, and sometimes we don't get the answers that we need. Um, and I like to just say yet, right? Because there is somebody out there who's going to be able to support us and help us navigate. There's not always a solution for everything, but I do believe that there's a way to put things in remission, to get information that maybe the first few people couldn't help us with. Um, but it is important, and we're waking up to that more and more that we want to know what's going on at a deeper level so that we can heal it, right? And we can live well and live long because you're here for a purpose, whether it's to be there for your family, whether it's work that you do in the world, maybe it's for your own personal enjoyment, like the card we read at the beginning, you know? So it's important to have these functional labs if you're experiencing, specifically women, but specifically too if you're having any kind of thyroid symptoms as well. Really important. So um, I want you to know that. All right, how's everybody doing? Everybody with me? All right. Give me a yes if you're here with me. Give me a yes in the chat.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I see y'all. I see y'all. Give me a yes if you're feeling like, all right, there's some things I want to either check with my blood work. There's some things I know I want to do. There's like if you're learning something new, you go ahead and give me a yes, or you're being reminded of something, like I said. So here we're going to talk about blood sugar because it doesn't. It's like it's not a sexy thing, right? Like I don't think people are necessarily sitting around thinking, I want better blood sugar. Like, I never cared about blood sugar when I was younger, but now I freaking think about my blood sugar. And I'm like, ooh, I don't want to spike my blood sugar too crazy because, like, I'm in tune with my body and I feel it afterwards, right? If I eat too much sugar before bed, my sleep sucks. If I'll give you an example of like how I know this whole blood sugar. This was like geez, 8, 9 years ago, it was Thanksgiving time. And when I tell y'all I was eating everything that day, I'm not underestimating, right? Like I can eat, and I used to be able to eat way more than I do now. I was eating all the sweet, like I was going to town, lot of sugar first thing in the morning. I can't even remember what it was, but I know all I did was eat, probably till like 2 o'clock, stuffed. And then I had this episode where I was like exhausted. Like I just like got hit up with a tranquilizer and had to lay on the couch for a little bit. I was a little diaphoretic. I was like, oh my God, am I getting sick? It didn't last that long. But as I look back, I'm like, oh crap. My body was working super duper hard to combat all of that, like blood sugar or all that sugar and fat and everything that I put into my body. And I chuckled because I'm like, oh my gosh, I was putting a lot of havoc on my body. I didn't really, I mean, I knew of like eating that much excess at the time wasn't that good, but I wasn't as connected to my desire to live well and live long. I think too, for me, like the older I get, the more I realize, like, okay. It's time. It's time to really keep taking care of myself in better ways. So our blood sugar, right? It affects our immunity. So if you're getting sick a lot, blood sugar, taking care of blood sugar is really something to look at. It affects our nervous system. It affects our mood. Hangry is a real thing. And so what happens is you digest the carbs if you had carbs, right? They enter your bloodstream. And then what happens is the pancreas lets insulin out and it helps the cells absorb the glucose, get into the cell, which we need, right? We need that for energy. But over time, what can happen is those insulin receptors, aka insulin's resistance, they have so much glucose constantly in the system that they start to desensitize. And we don't want that because with that, we then are at risk for type 2 diabetes, heart disease. With that comes heart attacks, stroke, losing your eyesight, losing your feet, all kinds of things. But it's years a lot of times before that happens. But there's all these like low kind of things that are happening in the background that we might easily ignore. Like even a lot of people getting diagnosed with type 2 diabetes might feel normal. So it's misleading. Like I can't be that sick. I feel okay. And anytime we get blood work that's showing something that's off, it's a good idea to like get curious and get more information and take it more seriously to see what lifestyle changes can I put into place. Cholesterol, for example, some people are going to have high cholesterol. It's hereditary, but other people, like it can provide some really valuable information. Same thing if your thyroid numbers are off. Side note on your blood work, if the provider's like, you have something that's in the red that's off, and the doctor's like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm going to encourage you to do your education, not to be hypochondriac again, but do your research or work with somebody who can help you just double check it because sometimes in healthcare, I've been guilty of this. I did this at the hospital. Why is that number off? It might only be slightly off, and we'd be like, oh, that number doesn't really matter. But what we need to be able to explain as healthcare providers to our patients why the number is off. We need to have an answer, right? We need to know, okay, why is that number off? Is it because their mitochondrial health is off? Is it because they actually do have a low-lying um, infection here? Is it because their cortisol's been through the roof? Like we really actually want to know why. So, getting that information can be really helpful on your health and healing journey. With blood sugar, right, causing, well, how do we get the blood sugar spikes? Ideally, we want to be eating more real food, more whole foods, antioxidant-rich foods, fiber-rich foods. If you can, eat organic, fast between meals, fast overnight. But over time, right, combined, not just with the food, but with the stress, the toxins we're exposed to, those blood sugar spikes, whether it's like having Starbucks latte for breakfast or a bacon, egg, and cheese for breakfast or pancakes, or if you're, I don't know, I grew up on cereal and milk, right? But over time, we get those blood sugar spikes. And then if combine it with we're less active, we have less muscle as adults. So then it's hitting us even more. It creates oxidative stress and it causes chronic inflammation in the body. So, combined with lifestyle medicine, getting to the root cause, there are peptides that help with inflammation. And again, it's not always just like, I'll just take a peptide, get rid of everything, but I do believe that they can have a really important role in this journey for inflammation, especially if it's gut related inflammation. The BPC 157 it actually comes from the gut lining. And when you take it orally, it can be really great at supporting gut health and healing the gut, supporting the gut. And then when you take that one combined with TB 500, they help with angiogenesis, they help with like blood flow, they help with like musculoskeletal conditions. I've taken the combination of peptides multiple times because I'm pretty freaking active at times and had some injuries I was working on, and also to just help with exercise recovery, help with reducing inflammation. So I really like those peptides for that. Also, if you're somebody who's like your immunity, you're getting sick a lot, there's quite a good amount of research on the thymosin alpha 1. So that could be one to look into as well. And now we're finding so much information about GLP-1s and how not only are they stabilizing blood sugar, right? GLP-1s have been around at least 15 years, highly studied when taken within safety parameters, when dosing correctly, when implementing the lifestyle. Like people get amazing results in we're seeing now a lot more reduction in inflammation. I have a friend who has lost 50 pounds, only stayed on a much for her, only never needed a microdose. Her autoimmune, she's got multiple autoimmune. She's like, I feel so much better. I have other clients who with thyroid conditions, once they've been on the GLP-1 for a while, able to reduce their medications. But again, everybody's different. I'm not making any false promises there, but we're seeing a lot of reduction in inflammation. We know inflammation is the root of disease, right? We want to make sure that we can support ourselves as much as we can in that area. So the GLP-1s can be also a great one, specifically if you know you're dealing with metabolic conditions, whether that's brain fog, whether that's difficulty losing weight, whether there's like that chronic inflammation, super low energy, your blood work is reflecting it. That can be a great one. But it's important always. Well, I think the horror stories that you're hearing with GLP-1 is because people are not pairing it with lifestyle and perhaps they're increasing their dose too fast unnecessarily. And with that can come a lot of side effects. So when I work with people with GLP-1, we really, it's individualized, but we also like maximize the least amount of medication possible, is very, very important. So we hear the word metabolism a lot. I think that's been a word we've talked about probably if you had anybody in your family who was weight focused growing up. The word metabolism was like one of those words that were always in the air. And it's a lot more than that, though. It's not just like your body size, your weight. It's really how your body is functioning on a cellular level. It affects our it affects our inflammation. It has a role in our hormones. It affects how we build muscle, maintain muscle. Does tie in with our blood sugar, healing, everything. So metabolic health is so much bigger than just your weight, right? I would say for me, I don't know. My BMI is normal. I've like been the weight I am for quite a while, but I could tell you I was used to be 10, 20 pounds overweight. I had was diagnosed with PCOS, constant heartburn, tired a lot in the afternoon, those really bad tire slumps where you're just like exhausted in the afternoon, really get hangry a lot, wake up in the middle of the night because I probably ate too much sugar before bed, puffy all the time, achy all the time. And even like recently, I told you, I was like, okay, I gotta even make some more changes, right? So sometimes we might look like okay, but we want to again go back to the symptoms and say, like, get curious about them, not from a place to scare ourselves, but from a place of like, let me take care of myself, right? You're the only you got, and you're going to take the best care of yourself than anybody is, right? Truly. So why not, right? Like take it seriously. And so I know that metabolic syndrome, because I definitely had it. Like I said, I had PCOS. I was on my way, I believe it, to type 2 diabetes if I didn't make changes. Um, and even now, right? Like my cholesterol, like last year was up a little bit. So again, it was like, okay, I'm active. Like I'm good with the strength training, but okay, there's room for improvement when it comes to my nutrition. There's room for improvement when it comes to supporting my detox pathways. Sometimes we have viruses lying dormant. There can be all kinds of things, right? But so I say this to say like our metabolism, super duper important. So some signs that your metabolism might be off are that you feel tired after meals. If you're feeling fatigued after meals, not always, but it can also be signs of like leaky gut things going on, food sensitivities, but can also be, again, that you're not working with the blood sugar level and insulin levels, that there's some resistance going on there. Caffeine, just to function, can also be a sign something's off metabolically. Getting hungry like every few hours. So we should be able to go 5, 6 hours, be okay. Now, if you're having a little bird food, you're only eating a little bit, like you're probably gonna be hungry in a few hours. But if you have a meal and you're like, oh my God, I'm so hungry again, we want to look at that. If in the afternoon you're having crashes, right? Like, what do we do? Then we're like, I need something sweet. I need something to pick me up. And a lot of times it's something that is either going to affect our cortisol or it's going to affect our blood sugar. And again, then we're back in that cycle. But the awesome thing is, y'all, we can break the cycle. I can help you. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my metabolic reset program. We can set up a time to talk. But these things we want to pay attention to. We don't want to just brush off these symptoms. Cravings. When I tell y'all I was a true sugar addict, for real, such a sugar addict. And by repairing my metabolism and also addressing like emotional hurt, what do you want to call it, right? And combining that mindset piece, things drastically change. But I used to have massive cravings. Like that's one of the things that people really find relief when they start on a GLP-1 is that the food craving, the food noise starts to quiet. So get a little more space between that grabbing the craving and putting it in your mouth. You get a little buffer there. It doesn't mean that it always goes completely away, but that's how we really create that change. That's how we create new habits is, right? There's a pause, and as soon as we can catch it, as soon as we have that power of choice, we make another choice that's more empowering. We create a new pathway. We create a new habit eventually, and we really can create a brand new life, a different life. And again, I'm sure y'all have experienced that, right? You've been on a path in your life and then things changed, right? And there's been times where you're like, you knew if you stayed on this path, things were not going to end up good. And then you changed it, right? And now that's your new norm. So that's the awesome thing is that more health, more energy, right? A body that you feel good in, a body that feels strong, deeper sleep, more connection in your relationships. All of that is possible, right? We can change the direction, the pathway of our lives. Also, the weight gain in the midsection can be related to metabolic health. So if you're like, my weight is the same, but my belly is just like, you know, really putting on the weight in the middle, like my pants aren't fitting the same. Again, we want to look at metabolic health. Um, if you again was feeling like you're sleeping, but you're always tired, again, let's look at metabolic health. If your hair is thinning, are you getting enough nutrients? Is there a thyroid condition there? Is it that you're not getting the nutrients that you need? Again, like we want to really, metabolic health is so, so important, right? One of those areas that when we optimize our blood sugar levels, we reduce inflammation, when we optimize our metabolic health, it's going to have a positive effect on our sex hormones, our energy level, our body composition. It's like a very foundational root, right? We combine it, like in the metabolic reset program, we also combine it with nervous system regulation. So we combine it with practices that support recovery. We combine it with the mindset piece. We combine it with, okay, what do I do in this situation where I'm faced with a lot of temptation. How do I navigate it, right? How do I navigate it when I don't feel like working out? All of these things are super important and they're part of the program. So if you're interested, right, like you've heard what I said today and you're like, okay, I think I need some help in this area. I need some help in my life. I put the link in the chat. So go ahead, schedule a call with me. We'll talk. We'll help decide like what the next best steps are for you. The Metabolic Reset program, it is a 6 month program. It's 6 months because it takes time to repair your metabolism. It takes time to create those new neural pathways in the brain to stay consistent, to step into this identity of like, yeah, I am the kind of person who exercises. I am the kind of person who eats well, who takes care of herself in a really profound way, who has my own back no matter what. Like it takes time to shift into that identity and really like lock in those habits. So it's 6 months. It's not a restrictive diet. It's not a like lose weight quick. You can do the program with or without peptides, but it's safely done. And the goal is so that you have long-term success, so that it's sustainable, and you can continue with this longevity. You can continue to live well, to live long, to really be here and live that purposeful life that you're here to live. So it's literally a lifestyle medicine program. And I want you to also just take this because this is something that I shared that I would include here, how to evaluate. If you're thinking about, I want to take this peptide, I want to follow this diet, I want to join this program. And actually, I think that you can even apply this if you're in business and you're thinking about applying for business coaching. I think that this will really like asking ourselves again, powerful questions is so important. But does this program address the root cause? Does it go to the root or does it just address the symptoms? So something to notice, right? Do we get to the bottom of what's going on? Is there that holistic approach to the issue there? Or is it just very like surface level? Is there education or are you just being told what to do? When we're educated and when we're educated in a way that connects us to our why, is really connects us to the bigger purpose, like that's where we start to have the identity shifts. We start to see ourselves as the person, as a successful entrepreneur, as the wife who is loving and fun and just there to like enjoy herself and enjoy her family. We see ourselves as the adventurer or as the grounded, peaceful person, whatever it is, right? Whatever it is that's your jam. Um, and it's not just somebody saying, like, just do this, right? It's more empowering when we are educated and connected on a deeper level. Does it provide accountability and support? So, what I find is that the accountability and support goes such a long way, even today with AI. Like, if you want accountability to support, you could definitely use your chat GPT. And I think that that will work for some people. It will, right? You're going to have some feedback. It can be another great tool. And is it really personalized? Are you getting human to human support? And are you getting support that helps you be self accountable? Because at the end of the day, your phone crashes, your coach, your doctor goes off the face of the earth, or your relationship comes to an end. What's important is that you have that self accountability and that self support, and you've learned to put systems in place and set yourself up for success so that you can really continue on and expand and be your own advocate. I think that's super duper important. I also believe that in a wellness program, that it does take more than just like do this, do that, don't do this, right? It is deeper than that. We're not just physical beings. It's important to be supported emotionally, mentally, spiritually, somebody who gets you, right? And sees and helps you on a whole person in a whole person way. And then does the program, if you're looking at a wellness program specifically for metabolic health, specifically for longevity, it better include muscle preservation. But if it's a weight loss program, is their focus on muscle preservation? That's super important. I don't think there's any way around it. You can do detox programs that are going to help you. You can do supplementation, right? But side by side with that, I want you to always be thinking about how do I take care of my of my muscle? It's that important. And it help you create a healthier relationship with yourself? Which I, again, is so, so important. Really want people that work with me to be empowered and be able to deepen their connection to themselves. We're with ourselves all of the time. And I think when we are supported in how to think in a way that really lifts our life up, it's game changing. I know when I got started in all of this, I was a prisoner of my own mind. And I can find myself there too sometimes. But the good thing is now I know how to get out of there and not always believe my thoughts. But to truly be able to harness the power of your mind as a superpower is like nobody can take that away from you, right? And we can use our mind to help us live the life that we really want to live. And so that's really important to me that clients get to use their own superpower, right? You get to use your own superpower. So I know it was a lot of information today. The key things that I want you to really take away today is that lifestyle medicine is where it's at. There's no way around it. There's no magic pill, there's no magic shot, there's no miracle peptide, there's no like guru teacher, there's none of that that's gonna just be the end all be all without the lifestyle medicine piece, without really taking care of ourselves, without having loving relationships and community, without doing things that bring us joy, getting out in nature, connecting to our purpose, eating well, laughing, right? Minimizing toxin exposures, whether that's smoke, whether that's chemicals, whether that's alcohol and, those kinds of things, toxic people, making sure you're moving, getting stronger, building muscle. And if you are somebody who's having symptoms, really getting to the root cause, addressing it with that holistic approach, really, really important. And using the power of your mind, using the power of your mind. That's something that I love to support you with as well. So we are over just a little bit. I'm going to open it up for questions. Again, if you're interested, I know I didn't go super in depth with peptides. With peptides, the thing I want you to know, There's peptides nearly for everything these days. I have a brochure from one of my vendors here. There's Selenk and C-Max, which is really great for they're nootropics. They're great for the brain health. There's peptides for libido. There's peptides for weight loss, for building muscle, for sleep. DSIP is great for sleep. There's ones that work on the mitochondria of the cell. The NAD plus is one of those. There's also MOTS-C. So peptides, there's a lot. There's probably one for any symptom you have. But that being said, I really like to work with my people and make sure that's what's the best fit for you. You can also, if you're not working with a medical provider who knows what they're doing in peptides, don't just go try to wing this on your own because there's peptides that do very similar things and you don't want to be on. Overall, peptides are generally safe, but if you take too much of them, you're taking them not from a clean place, right? Some of these research grade, we don't know really where they're being made. Or if you're combining like ones that do similar things, you could end up in some sticky situations. So please use those safely. And if you'd like, let me throw the link back in here. You can schedule here. If you're interested in the 6-month program, you can also schedule there. And if you have questions, you can unmute yourself. You can ask them. You can put them in the chat. Awesome, Annabella. Happy to hear that. I'll stay on a little bit longer and see if y'all have any questions. I thank you for joining me today. I will send out the replay. And so if you want to share this with anybody, any of your friends, feel free to do that. And if there's any topics in the wellness arena that you want to hear about, let me know. I probably have it in my tool belt, and if not, I know somebody who does, or it's close enough. I'm an avid learner. PCOS, yeah, they actually changed the name on that. Metabolic syndrome, girl, definitely. Metabolic health is going to support with that. Of course, there's some other things specific going on with PCOS, but yeah, that would be a great one to do for sure. Thank you. Yeah, they changed the name. I'm telling you, like with these pathways, the more I'm learning about functional medicine, like if we address these pathways, like it just has a positive ripple effect. And you could probably see there so much overlap with symptoms, so much overlap with this is going to help this kind of thing. Awesome. Yes, we can. Love you too. We'll chat more. All right, you all. Thank you for joining. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Brittany. That was really good.
Hi, I saw you come on. I can't wait to talk to you. I gotta call Lisa.
Okay.
Talk to you
Anybody out
soon.
there on the fence, this stuff works great. Listen to what she has to say. It's changed my life. My wife's lost 70 pounds. I've lost 35. And we aren't rock stars, but we sure do feel like it.
I feel like you guys are rock stars. You guys like are always doing things to take care of yourselves and, like take care of your health, grow spiritually, grow mentally, emotionally. You guys are a power couple.
It's a package.
It's a process too.
Yes, it's a process for sure.
Definitely is. It definitely
All
is.
right.
Thanks,
Thank you for being
Brett.
there for us.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Brett. Love you.
Love you too. Talk to you soon. Bye.